Hello everyone, welcome to lesson 4-8, found on page 327, dividing fractions. Let's look at the real world example. Okay, here we have an orange, and we have down here it has 3 oranges, and each orange is divided evenly into 4s. Okay, so we have 3 oranges, and they're going to be each cut into 4 pieces. Complete the steps below to find. So 3 oranges divided into 4ths, right? They're going to be cut into 4 pieces. So for the first step, we have to draw 3 oranges. The first one's been drawn for you. There's our first one, and I drew my 2. My other ones actually kind of look like tomatoes. But anyways, let's see the second step. Imagine you cut each orange into 4ths. Draw the slices for each one. Okay, so we have to cut them into 4ths. I know people don't normally cut oranges like this, but this is essentially the idea right here. Cut them into 4ths. So go ahead and draw your 4 slices for each orange right there. My slices just magically appear. So you see I have 4 for each orange. Okay, 4 of them. So 3 oranges divided into quarters, into 4ths, will equal 12, right? 4, 8, 12. DeAndre will have 12 orange slices. Now we'll do the same. We have the 3 oranges again, but now we're only going to cut them in halves. Here we have my 3, and now I'm going to cut them right down the middle in half. Right? I'm just cutting them all in half. So then how many pieces do I have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3 divided by 2, by half is 6. Right? This is what I wanted to show you. Please listen carefully. When you have a whole number, right, and you divide those whole numbers into halves, you're actually going to get a bigger number. You see, you got 6. So we got double this number. This is when we actually do the operation, we're going to look for the reciprocal. The reciprocal is the this number, but the opposite of this number, upside down, I should say. It's flipped. So what that means is it's going to look more like this. 3 divided by a half. It's the same as when you find the reciprocal, you change it to multiplication and you flip the second fraction. You flip the second fraction. So now you're multiplying fractions. Remember, all whole numbers are over 1. And now you're simply just multiplying 3 times 2 and 1 times 1. So 3 times 2 is 6. And 1 times 1 is 1. And you know, this is 6 over 1. It's just simply 6 because 6 divided by 1 is 6. All whole numbers are over 1. So this is just simply 6. You don't even have to write the 1 right there. And there you have it. So as you just saw in my example, 3 divided by a half is the same as 3 times 2. They are the same. This is 2 over 1. Remember, this is written as 2 over 1. This right here is what we call the reciprocal of this, or the multiplicative inverse. The flipped version, you can also say. So what is true about these two statements? They're both the same. Please write they are equal as a key answer and circle it. They are equal. So a quick recap: to divide by a fraction, multiply by its multiplicative inverse or reciprocal, as I just mentioned. So the second one is flipped, and you can see it here. 7/8 divided by 3/4 is the same as 7/8 times 4 over 3. You notice the second one has been flipped. I can zoom that in so you can see it better. You notice the second one, the second fraction has been flipped, and we changed the division to multiplication. And now the next step after this, boys and girls, will be to cross-reference. Okay, like when we multiply directly across, we're going to cross-reference to see if we can simplify. And I noticed that we have multiples of 4. Here's 1 4, and here are 2 4s. Okay, so then we can just go ahead and multiply straight across. We have 7 times 1 is 7, and 2 times 3 is 6. This is an improper fraction. Okay, we don't write fraction like this. So we find out how many 6's do I have in 7, and I know that I have 1. There's 1 whole there. There's at least 1 6 over 6 here. See that? So if there's 1 6 over 6, what do I have left over here on the top? I have 1 left to get to 7 and over 6. And that's how we write it, 1 and 1/6. So again, take a look here. Dividing 3 by 1/4 is the same as multiplying 3 by the reciprocal of 1/4, which is 4. 4 over 1, right? So it's 3 times 4. 3 times 4, you see over there? 3 times 4 is 12. Or the way we actually ask when we look at the division is we're asking you how many 1/4ths are there in 3. So you see here I have 3 holes. I drew 1, I drew 2, and I drew 3. There's my 3 right there, right? And then they're asking me 1/4. So I cut each one into 4s, right? I cut it all into 4s. So how many of these 1 out of 4 do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you see how it's 12? So we're asking how many of these are here? How many 1/4 are in 3? In example 1, you'll see that we use the reciprocal. We have 1/3 divided by 5. Remember that 5 is 5 over 1, right? And then we're going to, it's like this, you see it 5 over 1. Then we're going to find the reciprocal 5 over 1, which is 1 over 5. It's the opposite, you see it right there. Then we multiply straight across. 1 times 1 is 1, and 3 times 5 is 15, and you have it there. The same happens when you are working with the negative, okay? So we have with rational numbers. So we have 3/4 divided by a negative half. You find the reciprocal, change it to multiplication, as you see here. The reciprocal, you flip it, and then you have your multiplication, and then you cross-reference, okay? And remember, when you multiply a positive times a negative, your answer will be negative, okay? We get an improper fraction, and then we change it to a mixed number. Okay, here we have our first bit of work. Go ahead and try ABC on your own. Pause the video now, please. Okay, I hope you did pause the video for your own good. And now I've gone ahead and just written the reciprocal for each one of these equations. Okay, so we have here a 1/4, which becomes 4 over 1, 8/9, which becomes 9 over 8, and 2/3, which becomes 3 over 2. Obviously, you still keep the negative, but then they all become multiplication. And we can go ahead and multiply now. Remember that we cross-reference here, and these are both multiples of 4, so they cancel each other out, and they become 1s. Okay? And now we go ahead, 3 times 1 is 3, and 1 times 1 is 1. So it's 3 over 1, which is just simply 3. Okay, and then we have next, cross-referencing again, we have multiples of 4 right here, and I see that I have 1 4 here, and I have 2 of them here. So then I go ahead and multiply straight through. Okay, sorry, I'm going to do that down here. Multiply straight through, and I have 9 over 10. So it's just simply 9/10. Okay? And then over here we cross-reference one more time. I have multiples of 3. I have 1 3 there and 2 there. And 5 times 1, and it's, remember, it's negative times negative, so our answer is going to be positive. So 5 times 1 is 5, and 2 times 2 is 4. Sorry, it's 4. And how many 4s are there in 5? There's 1 of them with 1 left over, 4. 1 and 1/4. So there you go. There's your answer right there. You can copy it in there. I hope you got them all right. Divide mixed numbers. To divide by a mixed number, first rename the mixed number as a fraction greater than 1. Then multiply the fraction by the reciprocal or multiplicative inverse of the second fraction. Now listen, what they mean by this is if you have a mixed number, convert it to an improper fraction first. That's all they mean. And you can see here in the example that we have 3 1/3, and 3 1/3 was changed to an improper fraction. 3 times 3 is 9. Let me zoom that in. We have 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. So it becomes 10 over 3. See that? And then the reciprocal will be 3 over 10 with a multiplication sign. Then we go ahead and multiply straight through, but before we do that, we have to cross-reference, and we see that here we have multiples of 2. We have 1, 2 here, and 5 of them here. And here we have multiples of 3, so we cross them out, 3 and 3, so 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times 5 is 5, 1/5. Again, we have here 3 examples that we need to do. Please pause the video, try it on your own. Remember to change the mixed number into an improper fraction, and then find the reciprocal. Okay, I've gone ahead and converted all my mixed numbers into improper fractions, as you can see there. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7/3. Here we have 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3, 3 over 2. And here we have 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4, 4 over 3. Now I'm going to go ahead and find the reciprocals to each one. So I went ahead and found the reciprocal. I changed every division sign to multiplication, as you see right there. And then I flipped the second fraction. You see, I flipped it. And that's what we mean when we say the reciprocal. Just flip the fraction. 4 over 3 becomes 3 over 4. 3 over 2 becomes 2 over 3. And 5 over 1 becomes 1 over 5. See that? And now we can go ahead and cross-reference. Do I have any cross-reference in here? No. So I multiply straight across, and I get 15 over 4, which is an improper fraction. And then over here, I do have cross-referencing, right? I have 3 multiples of 3, 1 and 1. And here I have 1 and 2. You see that? Multiples of 2. Over here, I don't have any cross-referencing for the third one, so I multiply straight across, and I have 7 over 15. This one I can keep as it is, 7 over 15. Over here, I have 1 times 1 and 2 times 1. It's going to give me a half, okay? And over here, I have to change that. How many 4s do I have in 15? I have 3 of them, right? 4 times 3 is 12. and I have 3 left over to get to 15 over 4. And there's my answer. Okay, those 3 are the answers. And finally, we have our word problem where we have to divide. Okay, and please notice that this is a word problem that requires division, and I'm hoping that you're able to realize that it requires division not just because we've been dividing, but because it makes sense to you that it should be divided. Take a look. The side pieces of a butterfly house, okay, the side pieces of butterfly house, it's just a type of house, are 8 1/4 inches long. Okay, so each piece is 8 1/4 inches long. How many side pieces can be cut from a board measuring 49 1/2 inches long? So how many pieces can we cut from this piece that are 8 1/4? So that should tell you that this is division, because we're trying to find how many of these, okay, how many of this value do we have in this value? How many pieces can we cut? Okay. So that's when you take 49 1/2 and you divide it by 8 1/4. Okay. Remember, your first step is to rename each mixed number and change it to an improper fraction, which we have here. Sorry, we have them right here. Then find the reciprocal, change the multiplication, and flip the second fraction, as you see right there. Then we cross-reference. Okay, we cross-reference so that we can simplify multiples of 2's, and here we have multiples of 33. 133, and there's 3 33's there. And then we multiply straight across, and we get 6 over 1, or just simply 6. So 6 side pieces can be cut. Here's the guided practice. Please leave the guided practice for class so that we can do it together, but please do both sides of the independent practice. This side of the independent practice, okay, please do the entire thing, and also the back side. Please do not miss the back side. We have questions 10 and 11 back here. If you do not have this done, you will not get your full grades for the independent practice.